Hello, this is Catherine from Accelerated Reader Reading Books for You. Today I will be reading Chapter 17 from Five Sisters, Warriors of Finella by Kathy Marwin. Before I begin reading, I would like to give a big thanks to the author for sending me this book to read on my channel. In the description below, I've included links where you may find and purchase this book. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Chapter 17. Lou soon got to the place where sisters and Emmanuel were. There she saw Emmanuel, who must have been worried about her already. "Emmanuel!" Lou called to him. "Lou, you're fine," Emmanuel said with relief. "We've been looking everywhere for you. Where were you?" "In the castle with Leonida," Lou said softly. "What were you doing there?" "I just wanted to know the truth." "What truth?" "Now I know everything. I know I'm not one of the sisters." "But that doesn't change anything. You are still with us." "No, that's not my destiny. I don't belong here. I am nobody." "Don't say that. Do you know how much you contributed to the team?" "I know, but now it's all over. I'm leaving." "No, Lou, don't go. We need you." "You need a fifth sister, not this useless court maid," Lou added, and ran quickly through the woods. Emmanuel could no longer see her. He didn't know what to do now to correct this. He blamed himself for knowing the truth, but not telling her previously. He wanted to turn back time, bring back all failures and correct them. He wanted to simply bring Lou back. When he told the other sisters what had happened, they were speechless. They realized that the team was starting to fall apart. "No, it cannot end like that," Analokan claimed. "There's nothing we can do about it," Emmanuel replied. Then Analokan looked at him strangely. She seemed to have something to say. "No, I believe there is a way. We can bring Lou back. We have to try. She may not be one of the sisters, but she is our leader. She gathered the whole team. Without her, we would never have found each other. You can tell me what you want, but I'm going to get her, and I promise I'll bring her back." "Be careful, Analokan. Find Lou and get her back on the team," Emmanuel said quietly. "I know you can do it." "Thank you," Analokan said, taking her weapon and running in the direction Lou had fled. "I hope it will work," Emmanuel whispered. In the meantime, Leonida was preparing her army. This time the Viders also participated as soldiers. Leonida knew that defeating the sisters would not be easy, so she had to prepare well. At the same time, she talked to her new assistant, Leonora. "So, this plan should work," Leonida said. "It'll be fine. We'll crush those poor girls," Leonora added. "They are all useless except you." "Oh, thank you. That means a lot." "You're the best assistant I've ever had." "Did you have more?" Leonora asked in surprise. "Of course. Marceline was not the only one." "And where is she at the moment?" "Well, she's gone. She realized that she was useless. So, Leonora, do you have any requests from me? Still, you're helping me with all this." "Actually, I'd like to know something. I wonder why you want to rule Finella so desperately." Leonida was stunned. She didn't expect Leonora to be interested in something like that. But she had to do her assistant a favor. I'll tell you everything. So, it all started while my great-grandmother, Finella, was alive. This happened at the time of the Viter Rebellion. As you already know, the Viters wanted to kill the entire royal family. Everyone managed to escape, but only the future queen remained in the castle. But, quite by accident, the Finella hid in a castle just near the future queen. When one Viter wanted to kill the future queen, Finella bravely came to the rescue and protected her. The grateful future queen promised Finella anything she wanted because she saved her life. The Finella wanted to become the queen of Finella. The future queen said it would happen in 15 years. After 15 years, Finella returned to the castle claiming that she was now the ruler. The queen said Finella was crazy and imprisoned her for life. Her family was greatly affected by this, and future generations told this story as an example that the royal family should not be trusted. But only I interpreted the story in a different way. I decided to avenge my great-grandmother and take over Finella instead. And that's why I'm doing all this. So, this is revenge to the royal family? But why did you become a dark fighter? To be more powerful and stronger. I realized that this is how others take me more seriously. They never listened to me or even noticed me. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. I understand. Great. And now let's move on. We have to destroy them. They soon left. Leonida's army was getting closer and closer to where the sisters were. Analogan walked through the woods and looked around. She still couldn't find Lou. She didn't really know where could Lou go. She searched the darker parts of the forest, even the forest clearings, but didn't find her there either. She was almost hopeless until she saw something. An unusual sword was placed next to a tree. Analogan immediately noticed that it was Lou's sword. She came closer and took the sword when suddenly she saw Lou sitting under a small tree nearby. Lou! Analogan called to her. Lou didn't answer. Lou, it's me, Analogan, she called to her again. Get away from me, Lou replied. No, I'm not going anywhere without you, Analogan said and approached Lou. What do you want from me? Lou asked impudently. I don't want anything from you. I want you. Well, I'm not coming back. Get away from me. Analogan realized that this was not going to be easy, but she didn't want to give up on bringing Lou back. Listen to me. We don't need a fifth sister, whether she is more powerful than you or not. We only need you. We would never replace you because you are irreplaceable. You just say that. I do not believe you, Lou told her. Lou, you got our whole team together. If it weren't for you, we would never have found each other. You encouraged me to finally leave that island, to stop hiding from others. You have shown me that you need to be persistent in everything you do, and that I should not be afraid of harmless little things. You helped others too. You showed them that they can do more than they think. You were our leader. You encouraged us. You were the first to face Leonida without any fear. You are not a miserable court maid. You are a warrior of Finella. Did you really mean everything you said? Yes, I know that's the truth. Please, come back to us. I would give everything to. All right, Lou finally agreed, and Alokan hugged her happily. Please, I don't really like hugs, Lou told her. Oh, I'm sorry. So, what are we waiting for? We have to go. Wait a minute. I forgot to tell you something. I discovered that Lorinura was a traitor. We already know that. She left the letter at the front door of the tent. But that doesn't mean we're going to give up. She may have left us, but we still have the rest. I'm so glad you're with us again. And it means a lot to Emmanuel, since he was blaming himself for all this. Thank you for giving me back my confidence. You're the best friend I've ever had. Oh, maybe you're exaggerating a little. Nevertheless, thanks for that. Well, let's go then. We won't get there that soon. The girls headed for their destination. Now that Lou had become part of the team again, and Alokan had a feeling that they would defeat Leonida and restore peace to Finella. The army was moving towards the place where they would attack. Leonida was in the lead, while Lorinura was all the way back. She watched reluctantly all around her. She was actually bored and wanted to get to the destination as soon as possible. And then, out of nowhere, she heard a strange sound. It sounded like someone was calling to her quietly. She wanted to see who it might be, but she couldn't just leave the army. She wondered if it was worth going to see who was calling to her. Leonida will probably be angry with her if she just leaves her duty. But her curiosity was still stronger than her fear. She sneaked quietly in the direction from which she heard the sound. But now she didn't hear it anymore. It was as if it had suddenly disappeared. Lorinura thought she was just imagining it, but then she heard the call again. She ran in that direction until she came to a forest clearing. There was no one there, just grass full of dew and a couple of meadow flowers. She realized that all this was in vain. She shouldn't have just left her duty like that. She decided to go back to the army when suddenly someone appeared behind her. Lorinura really didn't expect to meet that particular person. It was Marceline, Leonida's former assistant. She looked at Lorinura with a grim look. Lorinura had a premonition that this wouldn't bode well. She took a deep breath and began a conversation. Well, Marceline, I didn't expect you. Here, Lorinura murmured. Well, I was expecting you today. I heard you are going into the battle, Marceline said, still having a grim look on her face. Yes, we are. We will finally get rid of those sisters. And I see you're a very reliable assistant when you just left your duty, Marceline said sarcastically. Well, someone called me. I just wanted to know who it was. Ah, you're so naive. I wouldn't do that if I were you. Oh, come on. Do you really miss Leonida that much? Lorinura provoked Marceline. You know nothing, stupid fighter. You think you can become Leonida's assistant just like that. Leonida is much more to me than a master. She's like a birth mother to me, but she means nothing to you. You're just looking at your own benefit. You just want money and reputation. You disgust me, Loranura." "Oh, wait a minute. I'm not an idiot. You are. If you were a little stronger, Leonida wouldn't replace you." "She didn't replace me," Marceline shouted. "Accept the facts. It will be much easier for you." "Actually, I know how it will be a lot easier for me. There is one very simple way. Maybe Leonida really replaced me, and I have to accept that. But that doesn't mean I can't become her assistant again." "Yeah, right. She doesn't need you anymore. She has me now," Loranura said smugly. "Oh, but what if you're gone?" Marceline asked, laughing bitterly. Loranura was a little worried. "Die, Viter!" Marceline shouted, taking her sword in her hands. Loranura quickly reached for the bow and arrow. She fired one arrow into Marceline's left arm. "You still haven't learned that arrows and spikes can't do anything to me. Don't you remember the last battle?" Loranura knew what happened in the last battle, but this time she didn't have Analoken and her seawater to defeat Marceline. She felt completely helpless. Marceline swung her sword at Loranura, who fortunately managed to avoid the attack. Marceline continued to chase her as Loranura panicked. She desperately avoided the attacks. Marceline didn't want to stop. She attacked Loranura from all sides and from all directions. Loranura couldn't take this anymore. She couldn't even defend herself honestly. She could only avoid attacks. Suddenly, she slipped and fell to the floor. Marceline wanted to finish her off, but Loranura managed to get back on her feet in one jump. "You don't really want to give up, do you?" Marceline asked angrily. "Please, Marceline, stop this madness. I will do anything." "I do not believe you," Marceline shouted and continued to attack Loranura. Now, Loranura began to regret switching to Leonida's side after all. She felt sorry for leaving her sisters, who would support and protect her. She felt terrified, lonely, helpless, and worthless. At that moment, she lost all hope of getting out of this mess. Baloo and Analoken soon reached the forest clearing. They had just seen that awful sight. "We have to help her," Analoken said. "No, we don't," Lou replied. "Why not?" "Because she betrayed us. We will not help traitors." "But she's our sister. She just strayed a little." "Listen, Analoken, she chose this fate. She decided to work with Leonida. Today she will feel the consequences if she survives at all." "I can't believe you think so. Can't you give her a second chance?" At that moment, Lou paused. She remembered her past and how she never wanted to give anyone a second chance. Probably that was one of the reasons she didn't have a friend. This time, she decided it was time for a change. "All right, we'll help her," Lou agreed. "That's how you do it." Analoken aimed her weapon straight at Marceline and flooded her with seawater. She was now completely incapacitated. "I'll be back and finish you and your sisters," Marceline shouted and ran deep into the woods. There was no sign of her anymore. Lou and Anna Loken approached Lorenura. "You saved me, after everything I did to you?" Lorenura said confusedly. "Yes, you are our sister, and we are with you for better or worse," Anna Loken told her. "Thank you," Lorenura said as tears began to run down her cheeks. "Oh, the red-eyed girl is crying," Lou joked. "It's not true, and don't call me that. I'm just kidding. Are you taking me back to the team?" "Sure, but promise never to betray us like this again," Lou set a condition. "I promise," Lorenura replied. "But what are we waiting for now? We have to get to the others," Anna Loken added. "The army is already on its way," Lorenura said quietly. "What? Then we must hurry!" All three set off immediately in order to arrive before the army. They could not allow Zita, Bella, and Emmanuel to fight against them alone. Soon, dark clouds covered the sky and a cold wind started to blow. Zita, Bella, and Emmanuel were sitting at a table in the tent. They waited for Anna Loken to return with Lou. It had already become strange to them why Anna Loken was still not returning. "Who knows where she is now?" Emmanuel said worriedly. "I guess she hasn't found Lou yet," Bella replied. "Or she failed to persuade her to return," Zita added. "I'm going to see if she's outside," Bella said and went there. The sight she saw there left her breathless. An army of Leonidas monsters was approaching towards them. Bella ran back into the tent. "We have a problem. The army is approaching," Bella said. "Come on, girls. We will have to fight without Lou and Anna Loken." "But it will be difficult. How are the three of us going to fight the whole army?" "You are more powerful than all those soldiers. The atrocities that Leonidas did to you when you were little strengthened you. You are made for fight," Emmanuel told them. "If that's true, then what are we waiting for? Let's go for them," Zita concluded. The battle has begun. Leonidas' army of monsters attacked Zita, Bella, and Emmanuel. They went into the battle bravely even though they didn't have Lou and Anna Loken with them. Zita deftly shot at the monsters. Bella hurriedly handled the rope while Emmanuel was fighting monsters around her. They fought resolutely and with their hearts, but soon noticed that the monsters had the advantage because there were so many of them. This was probably the biggest problem for the team. Emmanuel successfully defeated many monsters with his sword, but their numbers still did not decrease much. This worried him, and it bothered him that Lou and Anna Loken still didn't show up. But he had to focus on the battle. He didn't have time to think about that now. But when he lost all hope that girls would return on time, he saw Lou and Anna Loken in the distance. Lorenura was with them, which Emmanuel really didn't expect. He left the battle for a second to approach them. Now he was less concerned about the battle outcome. He was overjoyed that Anna Loken managed to get Lou back on the team. "Girls, you're back!" Emmanuel was proud of them. "Actually, we're a team again, and Lorenura decided to come back," Anna Loken added. "Lorenura, what do you have to tell me?" Emmanuel asked seriously. "I'm sorry about everything. I was a selfish asshole. I shouldn't have just left the team. Can you forgive me, Emmanuel? Yes, of course. And don't be that hard on yourself. Welcome home. And you, Lou, I'm glad you decided to stay. I realize that not being one of the sisters does not mean that I am not part of the team. That's the spirit. Well, let's go. We have to help Zita and Bella. Soon, everyone joined the battle. They all fought bravely and deftly. Now, the number of monsters was no longer such a problem. In the middle of the battle, Zita came to Lou. She seemed to have something important to say. Lou, we need to finish this faster, Zita said hurriedly as she continued to fight the monster in front of her. I know that. We will defeat the army first, and then Leonida. But it will take time. We need to get Leonida to challenge someone to a duel instead of fighting this army all the time. She won't agree to that, I'm telling you. Trust me, I have an idea, Zita replied and headed towards Leonida. Lou hoped she had come up with something clever. When Zita managed to reach Leonida, it was a time to execute her plan. Hey, Leonida, are you so lazy to send an army against us instead of defeating us yourself? Shut up, Zita. You will not survive this battle. I wouldn't say so. I guess you are afraid to challenge someone to a duel and show us what you are made of. Zita had already started to annoy Leonida, so she decided to agree to this idea. But she also had an extra plan in case the sisters were close to winning. Suddenly, she stopped the army. The team also stopped fighting. Everyone just waited to see what would happen next. So, there was a change of plan. Leonida began. This battle will be decided by a simple duel between me and one of the sisters. If I win, I remain the ruler of Finella, and I will expel you from this island. And if one of you wins, you may free the king and queen, and I must surrender. We agree, Zita replied on behalf of the team. Great! I challenge Lou to a duel. Why me? Lou asked confusedly. Because I said so, Leonida snapped. Come on, Lou, Anna Loken whispered to her. You can win. Trust me. But what if I don't win? Then we will have to leave Finella forever. We have to take a chance, Zita replied. That's our best chance to defeat Leonida, Emmanuel added. All right then, I will fight her, Lou agreed. Lou and Leonida stood facing each other. Leonida laughed bitterly as if she already knew how this duel would end. However, Lou was a little afraid of fighting Leonida. Although she had fought her once before, she had a feeling that this time Leonida would have some new tricks up her sleeve. But isn't this what she always wanted, to fight for Finella? It was this thought that drove her to the battle against Leonida in the first place. She gripped her sword firmly and began to fight. Lou and Leonida fought fiercely. Their metal swords produced loud blows that would surely sound intimidating from a distance. Leonida fought confidently and fiercely, while Lou still had a small dose of fear inside her. But she didn't give up either. She fought for Finella, for the king and queen, for Emmanuel and the sisters. She had a good reason not to give up now. But Leonida was getting stronger in the fight. She realized that fighting Lou would not be easy, even though Lou was not one of the sisters at all. You haven't given up yet? After all this? You should have retired a long time ago, fake sister. No, I'm not giving up. Just because I'm not one of the sisters doesn't mean I'm weak. I see that your self-confidence is not falling. Well then, after all, you have no chance against me. Finella is already mine. The fight continued. Leonida still firmly believed she would win. But then Lou came up with something. She knew exactly what she could do now. Instead of reaching for Leonida's sword, she swung from below, cutting Leonida's hand and leaving her a scar. "Oh shit!" Leonida shouted. "Well, I wanted to play fair, but you are just not giving up, aren't you?" "Well, we didn't set any clear rules, so I suppose you can fight with that small injury?" Lou provoked and felt like this was a revenge for a scar Leonida gave her. Emmanuel and the sisters watched this with amazement. They just couldn't believe how brave Lou was. "You think it's over, don't you? But you still don't know me that well. I am a dark fighter. I possess terrible spells, and now you will feel one of them," Leonida said, and cast some black magic on Lou, who immediately fainted. "No!" Emmanuel cried. "Surrender. Your friend will die soon. You have no chance." Analokan ran towards Lou, whose body was completely gray. "Lou, get up. We need you," Analokan said through her tears. "Analokan, we can't do anything against this spell. I'm sorry," Emmanuel said sadly. "Will she die?" Bella asked. Emmanuel did not answer. That was not a good sign. "Lou, please stay with us. We can't continue without our leader. You are the bravest warrior I know. Please come back to us," Analokan said softly through her tears. "Surrender now, sisters. It's over for you," Leonida shouted. Analokan began to cry loudly, kneeling beside Lou. She didn't know what to do to stop this. She didn't want to watch her friend die. Left without any hope, she suddenly felt something. Someone took her hand. She couldn't believe what had just happened. Suddenly, Lou opened her eyes, which were in some red color. She got up and stood in front of Leonida without a word. No one could believe their eyes. Lou aimed her hand at Leonida's army. She fired some black magic at the soldiers, who began to crumble one after another. Very soon, Leonida's army was completely wiped out. The red glow in her eyes and the grayness were gone. She looked at Leonida with a grim look. "Surrender, Leonida. Your curses can't do anything to me." "But that's impossible. No one can survive that curse," Leonida cried in disbelief. "You're wrong." Leonida was desperate, without the army and without hope. She put her sword on the back and ran into the depths of the forest. There was no sign of her anymore. "We won!" Lou exclaimed proudly. "We really did. But how did you do that?"
Leonora asked her. I don't know. It's not easy to describe. It's like I'm resistant to black magic. Maybe you are, Emmanuel confirmed. I have never seen anything like this in my entire life. The most important thing is that you are fine now. Anna looked and wiped the tears with her sleeve. Well, stop worrying. It's time to celebrate, Bella exclaimed.
The team released the king and queen from the prison, and they were eternally grateful for that. They organized a celebration in the castle in honor of the sisters. Even Isabella began to look at Lou differently. Now she could only be grateful to her for all she had done for the royal family. Thank you for listening. Stay tuned for Chapter 18. Don't forget to like and subscribe. In the description below, I've included links where you may find and purchase this book.